If you want to slam dunk your real estate marketing and you're not sure what to do, this is the video for you to watch. We're going to outline everything that you need to do to have an amazing marketing and messaging system. Today, I've got Garbero. She's a licensed real estate agent, and she is also a certified StoryBrand marketing guide. So she is the person to be talking about this. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, I'm so glad to be here, Alicia. Thanks so much. I have a huge heart for the real estate community. We're really trying to get out there and really connect with our clients.
So you know all about real estate, but you also have the messaging background. So you have the best of both worlds. Today, by the end of this video, you are going to know how to take your marketing and attract the client that you want and capture their attention. Allie's going to walk you exactly through how to do that. So I'm going to let you take it, and we're going to learn from you.
All right. So I'd like to start with really just this. It's what I see because I follow a lot of my peers in real estate. And these are many of the mistakes that I made early on. And it's that we're wasting a lot of money on marketing that isn't working. And why I say that is two reasons. The first is most often we're not strategic. We don't put a plan behind what we're trying to achieve or any goals or objectives to our content. We just kind of want to create it, which is great, but we ultimately want to have some objectives there. But the second biggest reason that I believe we're wasting money is because we aren't using the right words for capturing our clients' attention. And believe it or not, people don't buy the best products or services. They buy the ones that they understand the clearest. And here's where I see a lot of the challenge. We're putting out a lot of really great content, but our clients are just scrolling by because we're not speaking into their problem. We're kind of generally puffing our chest up a little bit where we're talking about what a great negotiator we are, or a home we just sold, which is all really great. We need that evidence of success. But ultimately, if you want to capture the attention of your clients and you want to kind of stop that scroll, you got to start with the problem. And you have to start by seeing your client is the hero of the story. So let me sort of explain real quick the framework of story and what do I mean by how you're going to capture their attention and talk about the problem. Pretty much the framework of story starts with this. In every really great story, there's a character. This character, there's always something that this character wants, but there's something standing in the way of them ultimately getting it, right? And so if you think of all the great stories, recent movies that you go and you watch, if you think about, the Karate Kid, Daniel was getting beat up. He had this problem, and he was tired of getting beat up. And so there was something standing in the way of him being able to defend himself. And that's that he needed to understand how to fight, right? He needed to know karate. So here was the problem, and along came a guide. We all know Mr. Miyagi, right? Mr. Miyagi gives him a plan, and he calls him to action and says, okay, the time has come. You've got to now take what I've given you, take what I've taught you, go take action. And that action is going to result in either success or failure. And so how do we bring this back into, real estate? Well, the character of our story, we tend to think is we want to tell our story, how long I've been in business, that kind of thing, why I founded my company. Now, start with the character, and our character is the customer, is our home seller, it's our buyer. What's the physical, tangible thing that's getting in the way of them getting what they want? Okay, right now, it's high interest rates. I want to own a home. I want to sell my house, but I can't afford it. These interest rates are crazy. So you talk about the problem and then position yourself as the guide with a plan to solve this problem. And so when you create content centered around their problem, now they start to go, oh, wait a minute. Alicia she's speaking into my pain point, and she's got a way to solve this for me. And so as we, really sticking to that framework of story, right, we now give them a plan, and then we have to talk about this aspirational identity. Daniel didn't want to learn karate necessarily. He didn't want to learn how to wax on and wax off. Our homeowners don't necessarily want 4 walls, right? What they want is this American dream. They want to build wealth. Same thing. Daniel wanted to be able to be, confident in himself. So we got to speak into the problem show up as the guide, and then help our clients see how we're going to help them go from I'm stuck, I can't do anything, to holy cow, now you're building wealth, now you're a homeowner.
I love that you say we're not the hero, right? They're the hero, because one of the biggest hangups I hear is people saying, I don't want it to be about me. Well, newsflash, it's not about you. So this is a perfect way for you to formulate something that's not about you, but you're still the solution, and it's about the person.
Exactly. And so this is where I tell, I have to remind myself and my real estate colleagues, we have to show up as the guide. And the way that you can do that, as you think about your social content, is there's two ways that you can use it, and two places I see it in real estate heavily. And that's in our social channels, right? We want to post stuff, and that's great, but our social channels they should do two things. They should solve a problem and obviously add value. And when you're helping your client solve a problem, when they start to follow you and see, gosh, she's always teaching me ways to solve this problem, they want to follow you naturally. And then when on our websites, the same thing. What will happen is people will follow us, they'll see us on social. So what are they going to do next? They're going to go to our website. And guess what 99% of real estate websites do? They start with a home search feature, which isn't necessarily why the client is coming to check you out in the first place. What they're trying to do is they're trying to see, number one, why are you a credible authority to solve my pain point? So coming back to, Mr. Miyagi had to have some credibility. He had to have empathy as well. He had to understand, and if you remember the story, he had been beat up himself. So he had empathy. He could understand what Daniel had gone through. And then he had authority. He was a trained karate man himself, right? So we have to speak that language on our websites and on our social channels as to why I understand your pain. I've been where you've been, and I know how to help you solve that problem. And so on our websites, a lot of the times we have no value differentiator on them, because we're just like, yeah, look for a home, or yeah, I've sold 5,000 homes. Great. But what does that do for the client? Ask yourself every time you go post content, all right, what is the problem that my client is facing? Okay, how can I help them solve it? Do I have a plan to help them achieve success? And then I want to talk about failure. Okay, a lot of times we don't want to talk about failure because we fear leading with negativity. We're like, well, I don't want to lead with fear. I don't want to, fear selling, right? But if you're not talking about what's at stake if I don't take action and sell or buy a home with Alisia, okay, well, I could lose money. I could get sued. I could spend a whole lot of time on the market. Like, we have to talk about what's at stake. Otherwise, why would I take action? And so in the framework of story, we knew what was at stake for Daniel was, well, you're going to keep getting beat up. You're going to be humiliated. So when I say talk about the problem and talk about what's at stake, again, put yourself in your client's shoes and ask yourself, how can I make my customer the hero? How can I take them from where they're at stuck to this aspirational identity of becoming a part of the American dream?
Okay, so you have to catch them with the aspirational stuff.
Yes, exactly. So for instance, if you, instead of using, hey, we're the number one real estate team, when I look at my website, I could say, hey, I'm the best copywriter, or I'm the best StoryBrand marketing guide out there. But instead, when you go to my website, it says high performance marketing for real estate agents, content that keeps you top of mind so you enjoy the freedom a career in real estate promised you. And then the call to action, request a call. It should be that simple. It should have imagery that shows, wow, this is what it's going to look like for me to buy or sell a home with Alisia, and this is how I work with her.
That's the beginning of finding the problems, right? You're starting to note the problems. What's the next step in the framework? I know you said the website and there's different things, but what's the next step people should be taking?
So once you understand what your character, ask yourself two questions. What do they want? And what's the problem that's getting in the way of them getting what they want, right? So then, now that you've lined up some of those problems, right? And the problem has a couple of ways that you can look at it. It's a physical, tangible thing, such as, hey, I don't have a down payment, or hey, the interest rates are high. And then it's also a feeling thing. How is them not being able to buy a home or sell a home making them feel? because you want to talk about those feelings, because that's going to really connect with them deeply in a way where they go, man, she really gets me. Okay, so once you understand that, then you go into and you ask yourself, all right, me as the guide, all right, why, how do I show empathy to my clients, that I understand what it's like to keep renting, to have to deal with these high interest rates? And then how do I show authority, that I'm the most qualified real estate agent out there for them to, they can solve their problem. From there, you want to then call them to action. And this is one of the biggest things that we miss on our websites. Okay, your website, or even not every social post, but specifically your website, should have a direct call to action. And one of the biggest mistakes I see on websites is it's passive language. It's language like, learn more. Okay, well, learn more about what? You got to ask yourself, the call to action is your buy now button. Okay, so if your website visitor took one action, they, on your website, what action would that be, right? What action would you want them to take? And for me, that's schedule a call. And for a real estate agent, it would be the same thing. Hey, let's, your buy now button is, schedule a home value report, or schedule a walkthrough of your home, that direct call to action that you want them to take.
How do you suggest, one of the most common things I hear is, well, I don't know if I'm really that different than everyone else. Like, yes, I'm special, but how do I show them that how different I am than the agent that they would be calling instead of me?
Oh, I love that question, because I think it's where many of us struggle, right? Because you and I are both, great real estate agents. We could both do a really great job, and get the job done ultimately. But you and I have different strengths, right? There's going to be things that I have to look inside myself and say, what are my unique key strengths that help me empathize, that help me have authority? Well, my unique empathy is that I didn't buy my first home until I was 36, right? I have a ton of regret that, man, I waited so long to invest in real estate. That might not be your empathy piece, right? So you got to ask yourself, how can you personally empathize with your client? And then you are going to have different elements of authority, right? Hey, I've been a team leader, I'm a coach, I've sold thousands of homes, versus me, right? I'm going to say, hey, my authority is a little different. Maybe for me, it's I came from the ground up. I door knocked to get my first listing, and I understood that wasn't a fun way to work, which led me to really strengthening my relationships with the sphere of influence that, helps my business. So we're gonna find those ways. And if you're a new agent and you're thinking, well, I don't have any credibility, I don't have any experience. Well, think about where you've been successful in your previous jobs, right? Was it that you were fully invested? Were you the hardest worker in the room? Those traits are going to move over into why people should work with you as an agent. And maybe it's simply that, what, Ali and Alicia are great, but they're so busy. Me, because I'm new, and you're my one client, you're going to get all my attention. It could be something that simple.
The questions to ask, like how to empathize and what your experience is, that's really a great way to kind of narrow it down, because people think, well, I close deals, right? Like I get it to the closing table. Like just like when lenders come to us, this is that's not the value proposition. Like I don't care about, like, you should, that's like bare minimum. So now what makes you special? And it's, if you're having a hard time, some people think, well, I don't know. But if you ask someone else, do you ever suggest them ask other people what's making it special?
Absolutely, 100%, because if we go back to the guide, if we think about Mr. Miyagi, he didn't puff his chest with Daniel and say, you know what, I have a black belt, I have beat up 1,000 other guys before. So we don't really have to sell that. Again, empathy is very different. So I would absolutely ask the people that know me very well, I would ask them, hey, what do you think I do well? What do I bring to the table as a business owner in real estate? What are some of the things that you like about me? You are going to be so surprised at the way that, and I was asked that question one time on a broker call amongst top agents, right? And my broker asked me, he's like, so Why do you think someone should hire you over, let's say, agent over here? And my peers actually chimed in for me. And one of the comments that was shared was, Ali is fully invested in the success of her clients. Wow, I was able to use that language to move forward with my clients. I use it to this day. So you'll be surprised the way other people see you versus we kind of downplay our strengths.
And sometimes we don't even see them, which is really sad. So think about when you talk about, I love the story that you're telling with the Karate Kid. So would the Karate Kid have, if he did not buy into Mr. Miyagi, if he was just didn't think that he cared about him, would he have ever gone the distance with him or like really trusted what he said? I don't think he would have.
Absolutely not.
So you can have all the accolades you want, you can have the biggest producer in town, whatever, but if they're not showing that they care about you and empathizing and attached to you somehow with that connection, maybe they won't get the business. So you can't even worry about that, right? Like, so that's a really good story.
Yeah, because Daniel could have gone to where his competitors were at. They were a very big outfit, right? They had uniforms, they had a really great dojo. Where was Daniel learning? He was learning in a garage. And so Daniel could empathize with Mr. Miyagi. Mr. Miyagi was a simple guy. He was kind of the underdog himself. Right. So find the ways that you are much like your own clients. And like I said, I empathize in that, I didn't buy my first home till I was 36. I didn't become an investor until just this year. Like, compared to some of my peers who started it maybe, 2 decades before me in their early 20s or whatever. And people are going to resonate because then they're going to see, oh, I'm not too late. If Ali didn't start till her late 30s and 40s, I'm not too late. I can do the same thing.
I'm going to backtrack a second. So hopefully it doesn't mess us up. When we're talking about the call to action, do you think the best call to action for a realtor is getting in front of the person, a Zoom call, schedule an appointment? Is that the best call to action?
So on your website, for sure, your website should be very direct. It should have a very direct buy now button. But the nice thing is on a website, you have what I call a transitional call to action. So if look, I'm going to come onto your website, but if I'm not ready to buy now, if I'm not ready to have you actually come out to my home or schedule a call, then this is where we add a lead magnet. Right? We add some type of gated content that delivers value. We generally recommend it be about $20 worth. What would someone pay you $20 for that you could give them for free in exchange for their email address? And what I see with real estate websites is we're generally trying to capture that through some gated house, right? Like, oh, we put a house up there and, well, if you want to see the rest of the pictures, give me your email. But in this day and age, people don't need that anymore. Okay. What they really need is like, what are the 5 mistakes sellers make when they go to the market? Maybe it's a video you create. You want to humanize yourself. Here's what the experience of working with me and my team looks like, because really your transitional call to action is going to put your client's mind at ease, right? Of then taking that direct call, which is, okay, now I'm ready. So I would really recommend something very direct and then something a little bit more passive that's preferably gated because now they're in your inbox and now you can slowly continue to connect with them in a valuable way.
On branding, when people are trying to figure out like, what's my actual brand? I hear all the time, well, I don't even know what my brand is. I don't know what I'm known for. I don't know, like, you have a crab logo, but I didn't start with the crab logo. How do you figure that out? And what part of it matters most?
Oh, I love it. And again, we're going to stick with the customer is the hero. Okay. So I want you to think when you think about your personal brand, you have to get very clear about who your ideal client is who do you enjoy working with the most? And in real estate, we generally think, well, duh, it's just a buyer or seller, right? But actually, we have very different types of buyers or sellers. We've got first-time home buyers, we've got investors, we've got move up, downsize buyers, and you're 100% of the time, it's going to be people just like you that are in your same life phase. And so getting clear about who your perfect customer is. And then once you paint a picture of who they are, now your brand message becomes very much about how do I uniquely serve this clientele? right? So now I become someone who is, my brand message becomes, I'm fully invested in helping individuals move up to their forever home, because I understand that most of my clients are middle-aged like myself, right? They probably already own a home, but now they're looking for something more long-term. So then my messaging and my branding has to really become center around, how do I help that client? And so that would be probably one level of advice that I would give. And then really just getting clear about, what do they want, so that then your brand message really leans into, oh, I become known as that brand that solves this problem. So that's just one aspect of it.
Back to solving the problems. That's,
Because ultimately, and I'll give you a quick example of how a big brand does this. Love, love, love Allstate Insurance, okay, which is not real estate related. Allstate did a great job of making the problem mayhem. They know mayhem is out there, mayhem is going to cause you problems, and that your cut rate car insurance isn't going to cover mayhem. So what does Allstate become known for? Taking care of mayhem. So it's not making that, hey, we've been around for 100 years. We are known for taking care of mayhem. Yes, because when they have that problem, they are going to 100% know this is the brand that solves that problem. When I know I have a marketing problem or I'm stuck with content creation, guess who I go to? I Google Alisia Krastel, because Alicia's got hundreds of videos around how to get unstuck, how to communicate with my clients differently, right? So you've become known as that person that solves that problem in my head.
We talked before, and thank you. I do have lots of videos. We talked before we came on about how people are wasting a lot of money. Like agents are wasting a lot of money with all this marketing that's not effective. Where do you think like the most money is being wasted, and how can you, like, if you stop spending that and just do this, and it might go back to the problem solving?
No, I love that. I think as real estate agents, the biggest problem is that we're constant. Well, look, any business owner is in constant comparison mode. We all want to grow, and so what we do is, naturally, when we think about our marketing, we're going to ask, well, what are my competitors doing? Well, my competitors are all hopping on the latest platform, right? I got to get on there. But hold on, stop and ask yourself, is that right for who you are? Is that even where your ideal client spends their time? So I would say another thing, if you really want to stand out, look at what your competitors are doing, look at what they're talking about, and then you go do the opposite. Okay, so if everybody's talking about what a crazy time or what a great time it is to buy, maybe you make the decision to say, you know what? Buying right now may not be the right fit for you. Holy cow, now you're starting a conversation that says, wait, what? You're telling me something different? So people are going to stop the scroll. So don't spend money on marketing that other people are doing just because you've seen them have success. Really get back to who you are, who your client is. And right now, where I'm seeing so much is reels are very big, and that's great. But you're spending you may not be spending money, but you're spending so much time. Reels take time to get the wording right, to get it, all of that good stuff going. But then you have no objective behind what you want that reel to do for you. Is it that, do you just want awareness? Okay, great, then that's fine. Do you want to solve a problem? Do you want to add value? What is it that you want from this piece of content? So ways that you're spending time is just not being clear about the goals of your content. And other ways that you're spending money, I'm going to tell you something. We do a lot. The natural thing we want to do is pay for leads. We want to pay these big companies to give us all of these cold leads. And that's just brutal, because we know the conversion rate on those leads, they're not bad. They do work, and there's many agents that experience success, but you're spending $2,000-$3,000 a month, even if it's $500 a month, paying for leads. You've taught me this very well. What could I do with $500 every month and invest that and put it back into communicating with my clients, giving them something of value, helping them see, hey, you know what, looks like you lost the house and right now is not the right time, but hey, here's a little gift, go out, have fun, whatever it is, right? So taking that money and really throwing it back into people that already know you. And then one other thing is, final thing, on websites, we are spending so much money paying for templated websites that sit parked, that don't answer the question as to why I should work with you, and they don't lead into any kind of why you are the most qualified guide to help solve my problem.
Would you say that, I mean, from my eyes, I would rather not spend the money on the website, the fancy website or the leads, and put it into messaging, like call someone like Allie and have them nail the messaging for you, so you're pulling in people instead of just having something that no one pays attention to.
Oh, 1000%. Because look, what will normally happen is we'll spend thousands of dollars on great design, and that's very important. But even great design can't beat out simple, clear messaging. Absolutely, 100%. If you've already got a website, let's just clean up the words, clean up the flow of it, because a website should follow, like I said, it's got a what we call a wireframe, right? And the wireframe follows that Z pattern that a customer follows when they land on the page. I know the exact way that the user uses your website, so then I put the words in the places where where I know they're going to read them, and then I make the words clear. I make it about the client, so that then they see you as, oh, you get it, you are speaking my language. So 100%, I would spend it more on clear messaging.
Is there, I'm going to direct everybody to your podcast. You should listen to Allie, and check out our website. We're going to link it all in the description of the comments. But is there anything else, any other nuggets that they need to know that could help change their business, make it simpler?
I think just my closing thoughts are just, don't forget that, when it comes to your marketing, start with the problem and start with making your customer the hero. If you can start there, then every piece of content you create is going to have that individual in mind, is going to speak to the heart of their problems, and they are going to start paying attention and really seeing you. You're going to literally position yourself as that credible guide that they're going to come to know, trust even more, and like even more, because you always show up in a way that's speaking to their core desires.
It takes time and people want the easy button, but this really is the most impactful thing outside. Yeah. Forget about the Canva templates, all the fancy, like that doesn't matter before this. This is where the time should be spent.
The words, and there's a temptation to want to do it yourself. Writing is a very it's hard, deep work. We do it every single day, but good writing really it's a craft and a skill. So if you don't love writing, if that's not your 20%, just delegate it. I promise you that's kind of the ultimate thing that I say is, like, look, put your content on autopilot so that you stay top of mind. You're going to be tempted to do it yourself, but I'm going to remind you what's at stake. If you do, you may not sound right, you may not connect, people are just going to scroll by, and you're going to waste a lot of time, and it's not why you started a career in real estate.
Yep. So if you want help capturing your client's message, make sure you reach out to Allie, hit the subscribe button, and I will see you next week.